Before I fish a new lake, or even part of a lake that I've never explored, I don't just throw my poles in the back of my truck and hope for the best. Over the years, I've developed a 5 step process that helps me find high percentage areas before I even leave the house. And one thing I've learned is this: fish don't live in the water, they relate to structure. In this video, I'm going to share my exact process step by step and show you how I combined Google Earth, weather, fishing reports, social media, YouTube, and AI to build a game plan before I ever make my first cast. Let's get started. Oh my God! Google Earth can be downloaded to any electronic devices. I have it on my phone, my tablet, and my laptop. And it's a great starting tool when you're fishing a new lake. So I'm going to be fishing Lake Ray Roberts this weekend, and I've never fished there before. So this is my process. I'll look for Lake Ray Roberts. Here it is. I'll hit search. It gives me an overview of the lake. Uh, so I can just get a virtual overview of what it looks like now. One of the most important things you're going to do is at the top here, there is this little button here that says show historical imagery, and you're going to click that. So up here, you can scroll between years of imagery of the lake. And of course, because technology gets better and better, the older years, the quality of the photo is not going to be as good uh, as the newer ones, but still, that's what's handed to us. That's what we get. The number one thing you want to do is Google search or use AI or whatever you want to do and ask when Lake Ray Roberts was at its lowest, if there was a drought or something like that. And the important thing about that is because it's going to show you areas that are currently submerged before they were submerged. So you're able to see rocks, laydowns, brush piles, roadbeds, things like that. So I've already done that research for Ray Roberts, and I know that 2014 was a year that it was pretty low. So we're going to go to 2014 for this demonstration, and go from there. Now I am going to. I already did some pre-research of where I wanted to launch, and just because I'll be in my kayak. I don't want to be around a bunch of boats. I found this Buck Creek boat launch. It's not on the main lake. It's an area that doesn't have a whole lot of boats. And if it does have boats, they're usually going out toward the main lake. And my plan is to kind of fish this area all the way back over here. It's actually a big area. It doesn't look like that on the screen, but it's a big area. So here's what I do. Here's my starting point. I'm going to be launching here. So what am I looking for? Here's the difference. See all this shoreline and all this riprap around around the vehicle bridge and the railroad bridge. If I go to the current settings, 2025 is the last image. You can see a lot of that stuff is now submerged. So my point being is like the riprap is in the 2014 photo, it extends way back out here. So that tells me that there's rock all along here. So that's the reason why you go back to when it was lower. So we'll go back to 2014. All right. So here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, okay, so we have the riprap here. So I know that I'm going to be fishing that. It also gives me an idea of what I'm going to have tied on. You got that riprap, which is now submerged. Most of it's submerged underwater here. So I'm going to be fishing like a crankbait, hitting those rocks and see if there's anything up underneath there or there along the riprap. You got these two bridges, fish underneath those in the shade where those are good spots. So what I'll do is I will put a, a mark here. So up here you'll see a little thumbnail. You can add that, and I'm just going to put that right there, and then I'm going to title it, name it. Here we go. Now, of course, I could do that all along here, but it gives me an idea. All right, so what else am I looking for? I'm back in 2014. My plan is to fish this area, so I'm looking for points. Here's some submerged timber. What does it look like now? It's totally submerged, but I know there's a point there underneath the water. Submerged timber right there. Move that guy. Wrong spot. So we will delete that guy. Yes. There we go. So you get the idea what I'm doing here. So I continue to look around. Like I said, this has given me an idea of uh, what I'm going to throw, what the structure looks like. It could be I'm looking for anything that's going to help me out deciding what I'm going to throw and what areas I'm going to check. Oh, here is a pond that used to be there. That looks pretty deep just based on the contour of it. So we have this deep pond. We have this ridge line around that pond, and we have some submerged timber. So let's see what it looks like now. Oh, that's totally submerged. So this is going to be an ideal spot. Put pond there. Looks like some overhanging trees. So this is going to be real deep right here with that ledge there. So I can pull my kayak up here to the right at the beginning of the ledge and throw like a drop shot or a wacky rig worm in that deep water there. See what I can pull out of there. That's a really good looking spot. Let's go back to 2014. Another pond. All right, let's see what this is. What this looks like now. Oh, that's totally submerged. That's going to be another good spot. 2014. Put a mark there. We got a hump. So this is a big good area. We got a hump. It gets deeper here, deeper around the sides. Bass will be sitting up there during the day when it's hot, staying cool. Later in the day, they'll push up bait fish right up in there. In the pond. This looks like it might be an old road bed. It's a road bed. So you can pick the different types of things you want to, or different icons for what you're doing. So let's look around and see what we got. Anything I can use for a road bed. And we'll call this road bed. You get the idea. You get the idea of what I'm doing here. So this is the first thing that I do before I go fishing a new lake. Now I have some spots that I have marked that I want to hit immediately. So we did all this work and we've marked the ponds and the road beds and all the things like that. So I want to be able to save this, uh, and I can put it on my phone. I can save it as an image. And then have it on my phone. I can open it up and zoom in on it. I can also save the project. If I was doing this project on my phone, I could save the project on my phone and open it back up. But I like to do this. You can also uh, uh, print to PDF, gives the option to title it, and then up here just hit save to PDF. I usually just do a photo, but that's another option for you to have. So you have it on your phone, uh, and you can open that up when you're out on the water. So what would be the next thing that I do? The next thing I do is I want to check the weather. Uh, and I'm not talking just is it going to rain? Is it going to be windy? One of the number one things is that you want to follow, and a lot of people don't, a lot of anglers don't, is the uh, barometric pressure. So I will search. So what I want to do is if the barometric pressure is falling, which is typically before a storm, that's uh, the best time to fish. Uh, but here we are in the middle of the summer while I'm doing this video, so it's we don't have any storms. There's not going to be any barometric pressure that's going to be falling. It's all going to be high barometric pressure. But based on the barometric pressure is how you're going to fish. So during a dropping barometric pressure. Let's get over here. Let's just do a quick Google search before I go. Uh, so that boat ramp is in Pilot Point, Texas. So we're looking at between 29.8 and 30. Uh, so that's kind of uh, a high or stable barometric pressure. So it tells me how I'm going to fish. Uh, Based on this trend, I'm just going to focus on seasonal patterns, fish around structure, pay attention to the water temperature, the time of the day, kind of thing. And if, let's say, a storm was moving in, uh, and then the storm moved out, and I go fishing after, or if you go fishing after a storm, that's usually going to be your toughest fishing. So it's really important to pay attention to the barometric pressure. Like I said, a lot of anglers don't do that. They pay attention to wind and rain, and that's it. So after a front, if the pressure is like above 30 and increasing, that's usually going to be your toughest time to fish. The bass become less aggressive, they move tighter to cover, and they hold deeper and bury into grass and timber or docks. And so you got to slow fish that stuff, like a Texas rig, jigs, Ned rig, drop shot. And then during the summer, uh, you have like a very high or stable pressure. Uh, it's just going to be tough, tough, tough to fish. So, the number one thing is I don't just check the weather, I check whether the barometer is rising or falling. Falling barometer tells me the bass are often more willing to feed, while a rising barometer reminds me to slow down and fish tighter to cover. And that's why using the Google Earth to find the cover is essential, especially during this time of year when it's hot. The other thing I want to pay attention to weather is for several factors. Thunderstorms. I live in North Texas, where pop-up storms can happen anytime, so a forecast is not what I pay attention to. I can tell you from experience that it might say it's going to be clear tomorrow, and then I go out on the water, and then a thunderstorm will come in with hail. I've been hit by hail uh, just out of the blue. So you should make sure you have weather apps on your phones with alerts, and pay attention to the radar, not a forecast. Once again, I've had them on a Friday saying that it's going to be great weather tomorrow or Saturday for a tournament, and then it turns out to be thunderstorms. So don't pay attention to a forecast so much. Pay attention to real real time radar. That's going to give your best information regarding thunderstorms. Winds, that's another thing. Pay attention to winds. If you're out there in a kayak, you don't want to be out there in high winds. Uh, do what you feel comfortable in. What wind speeds? I usually 13, 14 mile an hour is my max. But pay attention to the wind. Okay, so wind blown banks. The wind is blowing against the bank. That's where you're going to find bait fish, and that's where you're going to find the bass going after the bait fish. So don't not go fishing because it's windy. Windy days could be some of the best fishing that you've ever had, because bass are not like trout and salmon where they like to swim against the current. Bass don't like to swim against currents. They kind of like to go with the flow. And when the wind is blowing, it's also blowing all those bait fish toward the shore, and then the bass will just go into a feeding frenzy. So wind is not your enemy. I know you've probably heard me say wind is my arch nemesis. That's just because, you know, just traveling in the kayak in high winds is sketchy, but fishing is not an issue for me. So wind, And then also the temperature. If it's going to be 96 degrees, which I think it's 96 and 97 to 100 degrees this weekend, I want to make sure I have plenty of fluids. I'm dressing for the conditions, protecting my skin with sunblock and wearing appropriate clothing. Same thing if it's cold. You got to make sure that you're prepared. So those are the things that I do. Uh, the second thing that I do is weather. Weather is so important. The next thing I do before fishing a new body of water or fishing a part of a body of water that I've never fished before, or even just fishing regular lakes that I've fished normally, is I always check the fishing report. If you don't have, if you're not using AI in your Google search, you should make sure that it's running that. It just makes things a lot easier. Uh, it doesn't, so you're not having to click through all these links down here to try to find the information you want. It breaks it down for you. So anyhow, so I type in Lake Ray Roberts fishing report. It's going to give me currently active with water temperatures to 80 to 84. It tells me steady feeding patterns for bass, catfish, and I can click the uh, official weekly updates for the Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife Department. They're on temporarily on hold, but a current guide and local point to solid summer success. So it gives me the water temp. It's telling me what the largemouth bass are doing. They're moving offshore and slow sleeping sloping points. Why is that important? When we were looking at Google Maps, what do? We found that sloping point that was sticking up out of the water in 2014, and now it's submerged. There you go. That's a great spot. Uh, uh, Creek channels, drop offs, and around underwater road beds. Oh, we found one of those. Rock piles, we found those too. And old farmhouse foundations in 14 to 20 feet of water. Large flutter spoons and deep diving crankbaits matching gizzard shad profile working well. So just based on that fishing report, all the stuff that we found on Google Maps is we know where to fish, right? I know where to fish now because based on the fishing reports, it's telling me all those places that we look for. Now, I didn't find an old farmhouse foundation in 14, 20 feet of water, but I'll try to use my electronics for that and see if I can't find those. But that's good to know. You can always go back after reading the fishing report to see if you can't locate, for example, that old farmhouse foundation. So that's very interesting. There's an old 8-month-old fishing report video. We're not going to get into that. And then AI is going to ask, what specific fish species do you want to target? And for me, so this is important. If you're fishing from the bank, fishing from a boat, fishing from a kayak, uh, I will be fishing. I can't spell fishing from a kayak or large mouth. And what does it do? It gives me the Buck Creek boat ramp where I already said I was going to launch. I have not done this search previously. Uh, so it's telling me to where to fish, target standing timber, lining the Buck Creek channel, focus on 6 to 15 foot depth. Uh, and it just give me some information. This is kind of jumping ahead because I strictly this part was looking at fishing reports, but because AI has been built into Google now, it's kind of doing what I already do as my last thing, and we'll get to that to my last thing that I do. And what's the fourth thing that I do? I check social media. I look for YouTube videos, anything on Facebook, uh, for people that have fished those areas. Uh, so what I'll do is I'll maybe go into uh, let's go back uh, to kayak fishing, Lake Ray Roberts. Now I'm gonna look for videos, and you're gonna have just a ton of videos to go through. I'm not gonna highlight any one specifically, but let's go to one that I know that's probably gonna pull up mine. Kayak, Navy, Rocket. Come on, pull up some of mine. There we go. There's one of mine. Can I dial in before? And then here's some of my videos. So I just didn't want to put somebody out there that didn't. I don't have their permission. So Davy Crockett, I know I have videos out there. So I searched kayak fishing, David Crockett Lake. Then I'll click on those videos. What I really want to do, so we're not fishing Davy Crockett. I'm using this as an example. What I want to do is when I find those videos, now if they don't have any kayak fishing videos, boat and bank is fine. It's still going to give me an idea. Is I want to look for videos that are within the last 30 days. So it's still within the weather pattern that I'm currently in. Or I am going to search for videos that are a year old. So a year old is going to be a year from what it is today. So I'm looking for this time of year fishing. I don't want to watch a video of people catching fish during the spawn when it's the dog days of summer. I want to get just an idea. I'm not trying to steal their points. I'm just watching what they're using, kind of, what it's like. It gives me the experience of them being out on the water. It's just really, really great thing. I'll sit there and watch hours of videos before I go on a trip to do it, just to do that. Same thing with Facebook posts. People will post, we all post things. At least I do. I post on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and my YouTube page or this YouTube page. And but I'm always searching, see what people's experience on those bodies of water are. That's just a huge plus for me. And then the final thing that I do, I put all that information together that I've collected, the Google Earth, the points that I've created, uh, the weather, the barometer, and all those things, the videos, and all the information that I gathered, and I use AI. Social media or AI. I currently use ChatGPT, and I will ask specifically. I will be fishing from my kayak on Saturday at Lake Ray Roberts. And I tell him what I will be launching from the Buck Creek boat ramp. Give me some tips. Tips on where to fish, what to throw, and the best times of day. Sorry for the barking dog. I can't get that's a neighbor dog. I can't get it to stop. So it's going to give me a ton of information. I'm going to use this on top of everything else that I searched uh, to really lock down of the time. Based on where you're launching, your kayak setup, and the time of year, I actually like your choice. Uh, ChatGPT is talking to me like it knows me because I use it frequently, so it knows me. So, because you can reach a quality largemouth water without making a long paddle, 5:45 to 8:30. Fish will often move shallow, and it's just giving me some information. A lot of stuff I already know, but stuff that maybe I didn't think about. So it's important to do that. Uh, and it tells me, main lake points, my first choice, secondary points, inside the creek, standing timber, creek channels and drops, what have tide on, walking topwater gives me color, buzz bait, just gives me all kinds of ideas uh, uh, on what to throw. And a combination when it's telling me look for secondary points, uh, standing timber, creek channel drops. We found all that stuff when we used Google Earth. So in a combination, it's not saying, "Hey, over in uh, this corner at this latitude and longitude is where I'd fish." We already found these types of places on the map that we're going to fish, and it's just giving us just a little more information. Well, folks, that's my 5 things that I do before I ever try to fish a new lake, or if I'm fishing a part of a large lake that I've never fished before, and even sometimes if I'm going to fish a lake that I normally fish, just to tweak things up a little bit. And it helps me to be very successful. What are some of the things that you do before you go fish a new lake that maybe I didn't cover? Leave a comment in the comment section. I love to learn new things, and it might even help another angler out. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And remember, stay on the quest.